Good afternoon, everyone. This is Greg Aden with another edition of Servant Leadership Podcast. And today, I just have to say, I've been looking forward to this interview, this conversation, this opportunity to get inside the heads and hearts of Cathey Stamps and Laurie Oswald. And first of all, I'll say welcome. You are coming from Nashville, Florida, somewhere in between. Where are you both today?
We're in Florida today.
Okay, terrific. Before I do, like I do every podcast, I want to thank my sponsor, InteraWorks. InteraWorks specializes in increasing productivity and performance. Clients report an average increase in overall capacity of 25%. That's 10 hours a week back into their schedules. From global rollouts to individual coaching, from enterprise corporations to small and medium-sized businesses, InteraWorks delivers immediate results that are sustainable over time. For more information, look them up at info@interaworks.com. And when I read that every time, and I wrote that just in preparation for this conversation, it's save time and do more with your time. And we're going to talk a lot about what you give back to your clients. But you sent me a few interesting ideas to discuss today. And let's start out with what is the purpose of InteraWorks? Why are you here?
Thank you, Greg. Here because of you, but here on this earth, we, as you mentioned, InteraWorks is known best for our productivity and performance work, and recently a pretty well curated leadership curriculum. But purpose-wise, we came together as a team maybe 5 or 6 years ago and really worked on this and distilled it down to our purpose is to elevate the human experience at work and beyond. That's what gets us up every day. That's what creates the passion and commitment for what we do, is how do we elevate the experience that professionals and leaders are having at work and beyond. That's, I think, what's most important.
Yes, right. What you had said. It's all over your website, and it's front and center. We are elevating the human experience, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But I guess, Cathey, to you with this question, or either one of you, why is this important? Why is elevating the human experience remotely important to you?
Yeah, I'll jump in again, Greg.
Okay.
We talk about this. We keep this conversation alive, and we know how incredibly important it is to bring life to work, right? And vice versa. We are very focused on helping our clients and our participants get really clear on what matters most to them. And yes, connect their time, but also their actions to that. And when we can do those things, I think many of you can relate to that, creating an opportunity for us to be our most productive, our highest performing selves, and we can keep on learning and have all of that, really blend beautifully together. Cathey, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I would add to that. I bring a little bit of my background as a former therapist into play with this, but at the end of the day, it's important around leadership development and learning to remember that you're dealing with human beings. And there's no ignoring that there are human beings at play here, and all the different stresses and all the different desires and dreams and hopes and wanting to do well, all the things that go with that. And I know that previously I've worked with companies where the expectation was you leave your home at home, and you go to work and you do your work, and then you leave your work at work, and then you go back home and be with your family or do whatever you do. And it sounds great on paper, but is not so great in real life. And so I think we have raised these generations of people who think compartmentalization is the way to do it. And it's just such a disconnect between parts of self, right? And when you don't bring your whole self to work, when you don't bring your whole self to home, you pay for it, and people get sick from the stress and they can't juggle it all. And I think it's just really important to keep in mind that people are juggling all that in 24-hour periods every single day. All those things get crammed into it. And so how do we focus on human beings when we're developing them and a leadership perspective to um, give them what they need to solve for that, right? How do we
Yeah.
help them have the right tools, have the right strategies, have the things that they need to then bring their focus and their creativity and their innovation and productivity and all of that to the workplace.
Yeah, we're going to dive into leadership here in a second, but we're all on the same page with who are you? And you can take away the title. No, thank you. You are then a man, woman, or them. But before any of that, we're a human being. And I love the way you have decided to make it not simple, but important and focus on who are you? Why are you really here? And Laurie, you and I were on a podcast with Emily Robinson of First Bank years ago, and we had this
Yeah.
interesting conversation about work-life balance. And I'll just share my view with you, and you can agree or disagree. This is a great forum. I don't believe there's a true work-life balance. We have one life as a human being. Your words, not mine, Cathey. There's 24 hours in a day. You go from work to home and back, but you're still that person. That's your life. Because I've never met anyone with four eyeballs and two hearts and four arms. And so I get frustrated with this notion that they make you out of balance. No, we choose how we show up each and every day. So before we go into leadership specifically and what great things you're doing in that space, your opinions on work-life balance, what would you say to the audience? Cathey, we'll
Well,
start.
I'll say
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
you just reiterated that never made sense to me, right? First of all, when just the idea of work-life balance puts these two things in competition with each other, right? One is always taking from the other, and it's almost impossible, right, to have it just perfectly balanced. It's very personal to the individual. And I think one of the values of what we all experienced together in the pandemic is everybody's lives and humanity was front and center at work every day
Mm-hmm.
because everybody was home, right? And wow, what an opportunity to really get what people are dealing with, how much they're juggling, and the complexity that occurs when work doesn't fit in, right? Isn't integrated and doesn't, those two things don't work together. And
Yeah.
similarly, when you think about the lives of the people that we work with and that work for us, you can all probably think of a time when someone on your team or somebody that reported you was going through a difficult time personally, right? How did that impact their work performance? It absolutely does, right? 100% of the time. It's impossible not to. Well, that's happening in little microwaves, every day.
Cathey, I guess this one's for you. How does leadership fit into what you do at InteraWorks?
Well, I'll give you my perspective on that. Laurie may have a different one. I think just having someone recognize what we've been talking about, that humanity piece, but then bringing in the right tools and the right strategies and the right supports to help people have what they need to get to that balance we were talking about. So that's number one. And helping them be really clear on, expectations, but also opportunities. A lot of what we do in terms of having people be able to clear the decks to create that additional capacity you were talking about, getting hours back into their weeks, then what do you do with it, right? And how do you focus that in a place that has impact in a positive way, both at an organizational level, but also at a personal level? And keep going back to that integration word that we were talking about, that how do you integrate all those things so that you can then, bring your innovation to the table and have room to be creative and to step out of how things always have been done and look at it in a new way and bring new things to the table. And then there's also the modeling piece with that. This is what it looks like in real life, And I've heard in many cases people talking about how much it meant to them to have the head of the company or the head of the department be the one who said, I really want you to have this. And it makes them feel valued. And, how many opportunities do we have to do that? That's pretty important, I think.
You said something profound, but before I get to that, I want to go back to Laurie. your comments, your opinion on how does leadership fit into what's the entirety of what InteraWorks stands for?
I think the aspect that's also vital is being able to create vision and constantly create vision and co-create vision, as well as recognize, right, what's happening in the outside world. So there is a lot that's getting in the way right now. A lot of distraction, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of chaos, a lot of change. We also see and know that, and science proves this out, that the old models of organizational structure and leadership are falling apart. They're not working anymore. We see that around us. Command and control, predictable way of
Right.
working and leading is in the rearview mirror. And so all of a sudden we're in this new world, and that requires new skills, new capacities, which we're working with our clients via our portfolio on adopting and bringing those things into their organizations. And it's much more relational, it's much more fluid, and it's really different. And as Cathey said, people deserve recognition, they deserve possibility, and they also deserve our best efforts as leaders to keep all of that in mind and be fluid, to share in leadership, which I know is very important to you. I mean, we're all leaders. We all do our piece. We might have a particular role or a title, but I think creating this environment where we all need to be in it together and be willing to trust and change and be fluid and relational and flexible, and create different structures and different approaches. I mean, that's how we're going to get through this and thrive in the end.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. What you said, Cathey, was something I coach by, and it's you have permission to ask for help because your leader is exempling I, she, we, I, they, whatever. I don't know it all. Hey team, what do you think we should do? Now that's leadership. Anything else you'd like to finish up on leadership and how it fits into what you all are doing? I think you explained it really well.
I think one thing I would like to add, I think sometimes leaders are not as cognizant as perhaps we should be in looking at the differing generations and how they approach work and how they show up for work and what they expect of their leaders and of work. I look sometimes at, people who my age, give or take even 20 or 30 years, because there was a big chunk of time where the way you approached work was the thing, and you sacrificed for it, and you worked overtime to do what you needed to do. And then, that's just what you did. And you waited your turn and you hoped you got promoted. The new generation does not have time for that. They're just like, what can you do for me? Can you make this something that feels like it's developing me from the inside out, as well as things related to work? It's very introspective. People are trying to figure it out. And I think you have, from that point over here at the current generation, all the way up to the generation I'm from, and the scale, just everybody in there is at a different place in how they were trained to approach work and what they expect of work. And one of the things I love the most about the work that we do is that it's accessible and supportive and helpful for people in all the generations for a lot of the same reasons, but also for different reasons, that it meets them where they are.
Yeah. And something comes to my heart is how we were exampled work versus family. We can't get into a long conversation, but my dad valued softball, work, family. So, I mean, it's just how you were raised. Beautiful point, Cathey. Beautiful point. And we don't have to call them entitled because we're learning a lot from the younger generation about their courage to ask. I will work hard. I will also play hard. And I hope that works for you. I mean, at least they're coming to the table with some honest offers. Laurie or Cathey, whoever wants to take this one, how do you do what you do?
Yeah. Well, practically, we work with organizations all over the world. So we're global. And up until now, at least, all of our work is facilitated live learning and development experiences, either on-site or virtual. And InteraWorks actually comes from the word integrate. And one of the things we're mindful of is always integrating all aspects of a human being. We're not just a brain, right? We're not just what we do. We're a heart, we're a soul, we're all of these things. And as well, integrating technology and tools and systems and process and theory and the human being itself. So we're always integrating all of these things in our portfolio. And we just recently made some really exciting changes. We have our foundational work, which is to build capacity and engagement. And that's our effective edge for productivity work and our best year yet suite, those two suites. And both of those are systems, and they are incredibly practical and sustainable. Think about effective edge sort of takes care of your days and your weeks, right? Helps you with everything coming at you. And best year yet is helping sort of thrust you forward and making sure you're keeping an eye on your months and your years, right? And bringing again your time and your action and integrating that with what's most important to you. And those programs, I mean, both of them have been around, as you know, Greg, for decades and are still some of the most popular in the world. And then we've built this leadership series to help people develop mastery. And that came from, okay, what's next? I want to elevate. What else can you do? And we've just rebranded that our quantum leadership curriculum in this space of what I talked about earlier. What does it mean to be a quantum leader? And then we have a series of shorter programs that are about igniting and inspiring us in the moment as professionals and leaders. And then we have our Best Year Yet Foundation, which I'll let Cathey talk about because she's quite involved in that.
Before we go there, I just wanted to say I noticed that you had, I saw a quote from one of your clients, and I won't read the entire quote, but thank you for helping keep us on track. We're very surprised by all the efficiencies and how quickly we became more efficient, and we're getting close to our goals. And at the end, she said, and I believe I'm going to have my best year yet. So that just shows that your clients have integrate or believe that there's the effective edge and the best year yet. And apparently this client had gotten both of them together. So
yeah,
wonderful.
We have one global client where it's been so exciting is rolling out both of them globally to sort of embed their key operating behavior and their theme across the company. And it's just been received with standing ovations, I would say, up until now.
Now to you, Cathey Stamps, best year yet. You were going to say?
Oh, well, I was going to talk a little bit about the foundation in particular. And that was, we have a foundation that we partner with other companies. We also will do grants of our own depending. But what I've seen through that also plays through with all of the other Best Year Yet work is and I love this about it, is it's a very iterative program. Mm-hmm. So it's not ever a one and done. You don't do it once and that's it. It grows with you. You learn how to do the things. We talk about it being like a spiral that rises, and it will be there to meet people as they get better at building those skills of creating results and thinking through things and figuring out what's going on with their mindset and all of that. And then they apply it to the things they want to make happen. And they figure out why they want to make them happen, which is critical to me as well. It's not just a goal setting list. But through the foundation, we've been able to bring this to nonprofits. We've been, and the one in particular, we have several that are so great, but one in particular I want to talk about is the small little nonprofit. We worked with one of our global partners who'd been with us for a long time in Poland. And it was a group that was working with primarily kids that were on the street in this one city because they had shut down the businesses there. I think it was a factory in particular where everyone was working, and they were working with them, but not only them, They were working with their families, with their kids in some cases, extended family. And this was one little team that we worked with of like 6 people. And we wanted to track as much as we could track, the ripple effect that it had in the community. And we went from that one little team through all the people who were touched that we could identify to right around 1,700 people from that. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because to me, that particular example, while it was, technically with our foundation, I believe that happens with all the businesses that work with us in that way, because when people change how they show up and they feel some sense of agency in their own lives, and that brings that sense of leadership, for themselves, and then they're not afraid to show up for other people and try new things and dream a little bigger and know that they can do it and build their confidence. It just keeps going and keeps going. And the continued impact over time, I don't think it's measurable, but we can feel it, and we have people report it back to us all the time. And so that in particular, I'm really excited about how that's continuing to grow with our foundation. We're doing partnerships, like I said, with other organizations. And recently we did another one where it was a group, is a national group that works with veterans. And we started again with their team, but then it has now been incorporated in more parts of their nationwide team, and also with some of their veterans that they work with. So it, again, back to that iteration and that ripple effect. We just don't know where it's going to go, but we see it go and keep going. So I love that part.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we started the foundation when we launched InteraWorks as a way to provide access and resource to the same development opportunities and systems and tools that enterprise corporations use all over the world to those that really need it. And they're doing, arguably the most important work on the planet. And we're doing work in, as Cathey said, Poland and Kenya and Europe and India and across the US through that effort.
What do you feel is the ultimate gift of leadership?
Yeah. Well, you've heard this before on the gift of leadership, Greg, and that is, first of all, the opportunity to lead ourselves as well as lead others and then lead community is certainly a gift to me every day. And if we can all do that with a clear mind and engaged heart, we use that phrase to describe our foundational work. What a difference maker it in this chaotic, uncertain world. And we are completing a project this year that we're all just so excited about. We developed through a foundational partnership a 9-month leadership institute for the Metro Nashville Police Department called Aspire. And talk about connecting, as leaders, connecting the dots between today's crisis and the impact on community and developing people for life. Someone sent me an article a couple of days ago that was just a reminder that the work that we do is not just developing somebody to do a great job at their current company, right? We're developing people for life. And we've been working with 60 mid-level leaders inside the police department, bringing in new approaches to leadership, new ways of showing up as a leader, new techniques in daily leadership, to what is arguably an incredibly pressure-filled, intense environment. And we often say we're not saving lives here at InteraWorks, we're just changing them, but these folks are saving lives every day. And that's a 3-year project, 6 different programs, inside out leadership, activating empathy, creating trust. And they brought us in and asked us, we co-designed this leadership experience. It's going to run for 3 years for over 300 people. And they said, we don't want law enforcement leadership. We want leadership skills to develop the next generation of law enforcement, right? And we want to learn new ways of approaching what we do every day to make a bigger difference in the community. So, that is a gift.
So let's wrap this up with this question. What's ahead for you? What do you see next? Where is InteraWorks going? What's new with Effective Edge? I know there's something on the horizon that is going to make a huge difference. But I'll let you tell us what do you see ahead?
We have a couple of things that are happening imminently. We are going to launch a next level version of our long running Effective Edge program to be able to take productivity to the next level, looking at leading people and projects and building deeper connections between time and energy in terms of generating results, but also integrating AI. So we've kind of been sitting back and watching and learning in the midst of this whole AI trend to see what is really going to be the need in terms of, as we've always done in our other programs, leveraging the best parts of a technology in the most practical ways to make a difference.
Beautiful. Well, if anyone's listening and you want to know why you should care, ask yourself, is what you're doing today working? Is the style of communication you're providing working? Are they following you? Are you really developing your leaders because you really care about them? And what I hear you say is it's almost unbelievable when you get inside an organization and they may not say this, but they may be feeling this. Where have you been for the last X amount of years? And why did we find...
you mentioned like there's the symptom that people come to you with or come to us with, but getting to that root cause and then getting them jazzed about investing and solving it.
Amen. Yeah, and again, I can't imagine that anyone has ever said this was not worth the investment. In fact, you have, I don't know what the percentage is of how many times a client renews with you and wants more and wants, or not more time, just not more time, but more programs. But I'm a big fan. I always have been. But it starts with you, Laurie. It starts with you, Cathey, Annie McGee-Stenson. I know you'll be hearing this. It starts with you as well. The three of you are just great human beings. And we'll give shout outs to
as are
everyone.
you. And thank you for the work
Yes.
that you continue to do in this space.
Well,
Exactly.
But not for the faint of heart.
No, and it's funny because I was chatting with someone right before you, and they were trying to sell me something, and I said, I'm probably not a good fit because I'm really intentional. I'm going to ask tough questions, and not everybody wants to answer the questions that will set them free. Not my opinion; it's theirs, and it's not. I am not for the faint of heart. But if you want to do work and you want to get better, I have a company that you should look into, and that's InteraWorks. If you've enjoyed this, please like us. If you want to find out more about InteraWorks, simple way is InteraWorks.com or info@InteraWorks. I'm assuming you will respond to people, Cathey and or Laurie, that have questions about your organization.
Yeah.
Maybe not personally,
Absolutely.
but you'll make sure somebody responds to them in a timely fashion, and I appreciate that. So with that, I will say thank you, Cathey Stamps. Thank you, Laurie Oswald. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there's so much to wrap up, and all I'll say is appreciate you both, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Greg. You as well.
You as well. Thank you for listening. Again, if you have any questions about InteraWorks, you can reach out to me directly or look them up on their website, InteraWorks.com. Thank you, and God bless. Wow, what a great conversation with two really, really great people. I've known them for years. I believe in InteraWorks. You can say I'm invested in what they're doing myself. The purpose of InteraWorks is long and lengthy, but if you were listening at all, they meet you, they find out what's going on, where is the pain, here's some options. And it's not just one program, it's multiple programs. You heard them say the Effective Edge is one program, and then working alongside Best Year Yet. So you can not only become more effective as a leader, as a team, as an organization, but you can actually track your progress through the Best Year Yet, soon to becoming app, and what they already have in play to help teams. Leadership is they are all about leadership. I mean, you heard him say how important it is for the leadership to fit into what they do. And they're trying to help human beings, not men and women and them, but human beings become better leaders of other human beings. And if that's corny to you, then ask yourself this question: what are you if you're not a human being? And that's the core of who we are. And they're getting to you and your core and the team. Intentional, unique, we do what works is what Laurie said there at the end. And the story about the kids they're helping in a city in Poland. Why else are we here, ladies and gentlemen? It's not just us helping ourselves get better and richer and more productive, but what are we doing as a foundation as a company? So reach out to them if you want some information. Again, it's InteraWorks.com, and just loved our conversation. Stay tuned for the next podcast coming up soon.